Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's Claritysoft training webinar. Today is Tuesday, January 14th, 2020, and I'm Susan Arnold, Implementation Specialist here at Claritysoft. Today, our topic is exploring custom fields. What we're going to be doing today is learning about all the different custom field types that are in the Claritysoft database and how to build them in your database. Hopefully, some of the things we'll see today will give you some ideas on how you can maybe improve your existing database and add some new fields to it, kind of spruce it up for the new year. So we're going to look at all the different custom fields, and that will include two brand new types that were added just after the first of the year. So I'm very excited to show those to you. And we will build an example of each of the different field types so that you can see how they work in the database and get ideas for how you can use them. And you know that once you set up a custom field, you have to go and edit the user interface template. So we will do that. And then we'll open a record and enter the data into the field so you can see how they actually work. Interspersed in all of the discussion of the custom field, I will give you different design tips for creating data flow from module to module. So we got a lot to cover today, but I think this is kind of a fun webinar because it makes you think creatively. And that's always a good thing to do on an afternoon. So the next slide that I've put in here, I wanted to give you a sense of how data flows within Claritysoft. And I just threw this together about 15 minutes ago. If you are using the leads module in Claritysoft and you enter custom fields into the leads module, and I just put two sample ones here of market segment that can be a drop-down list and product interest that might be a drop-down multi-select list. If you add that field, those fields into the leads module, and then you add the same fields into accounts, contacts, and opportunities, when you convert your lead to create an account, contact, and opportunity record, the data will flow from those fields in the leads record into the corresponding fields in those other three modules. In contacts, if you have some custom fields in contacts and you put the same custom fields in the opportunities module, when you create a new opportunity based upon that contact record, then the data will flow into the opportunities record. If you take any custom fields in opportunities and create the same ones in quotations and sales modules, when you convert an opportunity to a quote, the data will flow into the quote record. Or if you convert an opportunity to a sale, the data will flow into the sale record. If you go from opportunity to quote and then quote to sale, then the data will flow from the quote record to the sale. So you basically, if you start with leads, can get one field to flow throughout the entire database. Currently, the only little break in the system here is between accounts and contacts. This is currently under development so that in the future, you'll be able to put a custom field in accounts and have the same custom field in contacts. And when you create a new contact for an account, that data will flow across. Currently, the things that do flow from the account into the contact record are the company phone and the address information, but nothing else will flow across just yet, but that is under development. So that's why a lot of people start with leads, because it gives you some flexibility to go from leads and all the way through. So I just wanted to go over that so you understand that, because when you're designing your database and thinking about where you want certain custom fields, you need to understand how that data can flow from module to module. So hopefully that will help everyone. All right, oops. We aren't done yet. So we're going to go to our database, and we're going to start building the different custom fields. Before we start, though, I wanted to point you to our knowledge base by going to the question mark in the upper right and clicking on knowledge base, formerly support portal. When you get there, if you type custom fields in the search, you will then get CS Live custom fields, and you will get a list of all the different data types for the custom field. So it will have the data type, it will have a description, and then it will give you the maximum number of characters that that field can accommodate, or some formatting. So you might want to go there and explore that a little bit before you start designing. And then that will help you figure out the kinds of fields that you would like to have. So those are all there. Now, for those of you that might still be using offline, the fields that are in blue text are not available in the offline version, okay? So you just want to check that out and be aware of that. So certain fields are, certain fields are not. All right, so with that, let's get started with creating our custom fields. Most of the fields we're going to create today are in the account module, but obviously you can create them in any module and you can get them to flow through the database depending on how you set things up. To go to custom fields, you go to settings, and you will need to be an admin user in your Claritysoft database. So if you're not, listen, take notes, and then go to your admin user and say, these are things I think we should put in our database. In the settings, go to customization, and underneath there, you're going to see all your modules. So simply, you would click on the module you want to go to. You have custom fields under each module, and then you would add. So we're going to go to accounts. And then over here on the right, you do see I have 2 existing fields already, but I want to add a field that's just a text field. So text fields are the simplest to add, but they're also the ones you want to be probably cognizant of not adding very many of them, because people can type anything they want in that field. And so in some cases, you have to give that to the people because what you need to type in there is unique to every record. But when you're thinking about things, you want to try and think of options that would allow you to put in a drop-down list so that you are locking in the choices that people can make. So that ensures that only certain choices are made and the spelling is always consistent. So you want to try to do, you know, lists as much as possible. Sometimes it's not possible. So in this case, I'm going to say I have like an ID code for each record. It could be a license number, it could be policy number, you know, all kinds of things. So it would be some type of a code or identification number that's going to be unique to each record. So this is going to be text. It's the default data type. But when you click here, you can see all your different data types that you have. Now, some of you, depending on the level of Claritysoft that you have purchased, may not see all of these fields. And some of the ones I demonstrate today, you may not have access to, so you might have to go back to your account rep and say, we'd like to upgrade. So I'm just going to do that. It's text, it's enabled, meaning it's active in the database, and I click save and it's there. So that's very simple. I'm going to add another one here. The next one I want to add is a drop-down type field. I do want to put in a field called market segment. And I'm going to make it a drop down, and you will see there are two here, a drop down and a drop down multi-select. Drop down will allow the user to select one option from the drop down list. A drop down multi-select will provide check boxes next to each of the options, and you can select more than one. So in this case, they're only going to be in one area. And then I get a box for my drop-down values, and I'm going to type in the first option, press enter. The second option, and I would just keep going. So you would decide what are your different market areas if you want to put this in your database, and then just type them in until you get them all in. This field holds up to 4,000 characters, so you can get quite a long list in here, all right? But also bear in mind, you don't want it so long that it's really hard for your people to scroll up and down through that list to find things. Okay, and then the next one I want to put in, it's product interest. And this one I'm going to make a drop-down multi-select. So this would be categories of products, types of products, services that you offer. Again, this would probably be a good one in a leads record because then when you're talking to a lead, you're trying to decide, well, what are they interested in, you know, that I can get them moving forward. So this would be one to put in leads that then you carry across into the other modules. So, and these are kind of weird. I'll explain my database here. Okay, my little database scenario that I have is that I sell these items, the tableware, table linens, dishware, flatware, glassware, to restaurants, educational institutions, and healthcare facilities. So that's why you saw the market segments that you saw, and that's why you see the products. A little weird, but that's works. Okay, so now we want to put in a number field. So here, when I'm asking, because I want to figure out, well, how much of these supplies would they need, I want to know how many people per day they serve, okay? And I could type in number of people served per day. Well, that works, but that's an awfully long title for the field for the amount of data that's going to be underneath it. You know, they're not going to have like 5 billion people. So what you try to want to do, and this is another design tip, is make the width of the name of the field pretty close to what the width of the data is going to be that will be in that field. So instead of doing this, I could just put the pound sign, which it will accept. There are other special characters that would not. And I literally could just type number of people. And I could just put number of people because I know what it means, or I could put number of people served so that my people know. And then I can make it a number field. And then you get to choose what number format you want. So I would like it without decimal digits, but with commas. And then click Save. All right. And then we can put in date time fields. So I could put in, maybe I'm going to put in something like this. If I sign a contract with them, I might want to put in a contract date and then make it a date time field. again, it could be a policy starts, a contract starts, something starts, or a renewal date. You could have a contract date and you could have a renewal date. So you choose date time. This is just simply showing you the date format that it will display in, and then you click Save. So if you notice, I'm just creating all my custom fields. I'm just going down the list, and I'm going to add one more here because some of you may not be aware of this one. We have a checkbox type field. So I'm going to take this one, and this one is probably a little bit long. So I'm breaking my rule that I just told you, but here's a checkbox. So that this, previous to the checkbox type field, we would have to create a drop down that said yes or no. Now you can simply create a checkbox type field. It displays as a little checkbox next to the field name. You just click in it. And then you can import into it and you can search on it. So it's a very handy little field because then you could have a number of checkbox type fields that are, we have this, we have this, we have this, we have this, and you can check them off. So we'll look at that. Okay, so that gives us enough fields to start with here. And after you've done these, your next step is you need to tell the database where you want these fields on the screen, in your screen layout, in your record. So to do that, you go to what we call the UI or user interface templates. And when you click on that on the left, on the right, you will see your user interface templates that you have for all the modules. So I put all of those in the account record, so I want to go to the account UI template. When you get here, you get to choose what access profile you want to design. For every different type of access profile that you can have different screen layouts. And so you have a lot of flexibility here with how you set all of this up. I'm going to go to the base template, which is basically your master template. And then I see here the current screen layout. And over here in the available fields column, I see the fields that I just added. So I can begin to drag these over and place them wherever I want. And all of these fields are movable as well. I can change everything around and completely rearrange this. For example, maybe the website I'd rather have over here, okay? And then I just begin to put things where I want them. So it's visually easy for my team to see. And maybe contract date goes over here and whether the contract is on file or not. So I just move things around and then when I have it where I want it, I can save it. Now, while you're in here, you also have the ability under the Field Configurations tab, first of all, to make a field visible or not. Then second of all, you can make it read-only. That means that the user would not be able to type into the field. They'd be able to see any data that's already there, but they wouldn't be able to change the data. And in some instances, you might want this to occur for some of your users. You might have some users that you want them to be more read-only in the database and not actually ones that can edit the database. So then you can create a user interface template, an access profile for them, and then create their own custom user interface template for that access profile. Required means that they cannot save a record until they enter the data in the field. And everyone always gets very excited about this because, oh man, I'll make them put in the phone and the address and the website and all that stuff. Don't do that. If they're trying to put in, especially a new lead, You might want them to capture, the phone number and maybe an email address for the contact, but don't go crazy with everything because they cannot save the record without putting all those required fields in. And you may create a very high level of frustration in your people, and they'll just say, forget it, I don't want to use this. So just be careful on that one, kind of ease your way in. But I'm going to make the phone number required. Also at the bottom of the list, notice that all your custom fields are down here in green. So custom fields usually show up at the bottom of the list of other fields. All right, so once I'm done here, I'm going to save it, and it will tell me I've saved it successfully. Then my next step is to copy this base template to the other access profiles that I'm using in my database. So I have a copy to and a copy from. I want to copy to. And I click here, and now I will have a list of all the access profiles that I have available to me, including any custom ones I've created. So I know I'm using the all profile, and perhaps I might also be using the individual profile, okay? So I can check the ones I want, or I can just do check all and do them all at one time, but I'm doing this for a reason. So once I check the ones I want, I'll click the little X here to collapse the list. It'll say to selected, and I click save. So now if I come back up here and I click on the all profile, you can't see any change to the screen. It's an exact duplicate of the base template. If I click on the individual profile, the same thing. But if I click on the manager profile, notice all my custom fields are over here. So that's what that copy to is for. You can copy it to anywhere, and that allows you to create different access profiles for different people to use. Okay, so once I've done my user interface template, now I want to see it in the database. So the next step is to log out. Anytime you're working in settings, you need to log out and log back in so that the database resets itself. If you're just entering data in the database, you do not need to do that. So when I come back in and I open one of my account records, I will now see the ID code field, and I can type in there anything. So if it's a mixture of numbers and letters, I can type that in. That's the text field. Okay, I'm going to take this out of here for a reason. And then I come down here to my market segment, which is a drop down, so I can see my 3 choices. This is a healthcare facility. Product interest. They may be interested in all these products. Number of people served. This is a number field. If I am right now typing letters on my keyboard, it will not take any letters. It will only take numbers. So I don't know. They could be serving quite a few people. So let's just say 3,000. Big hospital. Okay. The owner field is you or any other user that's in the system. This was already here. And then here's the contract date. When I click in that field, it brings up a calendar. And then I can choose. Now I can go backwards here if I, signed this last November or whatever. So you can go backwards. You also, if you need to go back fairly far, you can, like if they signed a contract a year ago, you could do that and type that in. And notice that this jumps. So you can get to the date, the day, and then you can put in the year. So that's there, okay? And then here's my contract on file checkbox. So click it, There it is. Okay. So I have all my fields, they're all laid out on my screen, and then I can do a save and close. Now, the nice thing is, here's that required field, okay, because it will not let me save this because the company phone is not there. So that's why I say don't go crazy on these, because you might have people that have 6 things here listed, and then they won't remember what the 6 things are, and every time they try to click save, it's going to pop up with a message. So use the required prudently, all right? So let me go put a phone number in. And now when I click save and close, it allows me to do it. I mean, that's a cool thing, but just be careful with it. Okay, so then once I've got my information in a record, I can still use my column settings here, and I can pull my different fields that I have added into the columns, okay? If you needed the ID code, I could pull it over. Maybe that goes here. So each user can then set up the screen the way he or she wants to see it. And you don't have to pull them all in. You may not use all of these for whatever you're doing. I'm just doing it as an example. So you can see here's the ID code, the market segment, product interest, okay, contract date, contract on file, yes. The rest are no, because the checkbox is not checked in those. So that allows you to then see, and then all these fields are searchable in the filters. All right, so those are kind of the basic custom fields. Let's move on to the more exciting ones. I'm going to go back to settings, customization, and accounts. So one of the other fields that we have is one called a drop-down dependent field. And what this does is it connects with a drop-down field as the parent, and then depending upon what choice you pick in the parent field, the drop-down dependent will give you other choices. So that's what we're going to create here. We're going to create a drop-down dependent field based upon the market segment, which is a drop-down field. Okay, so the parent field does have to be a single select drop-down. It cannot be a multi-select. So I'm going to add a new field, and I'm going to call this one market subgroup. And I'm choosing a drop-down dependent. Now notice what happens here. It's looking for a parent field. Well, ownership type is not what I want, so when I click there, I choose market segment. That's the one that I want. When I choose the parent field, it shows me the values in the drop-down list for the parent field. I have restaurant, education, and healthcare facility. Down here are the dependent values. So when I click on restaurant, I come down here and I can type franchise private. So I have 2 types of restaurants I might work with. Then I click on education and I come down here and set up my choices. Could be a public school, private, university, you know, and again, whatever other choices you need. And then a healthcare facility, put my choices in. So again, you can have more choices than what I've put in. But now when I click back here, these are the choices, these are the choices, These are the choices. I click Save. All right. Now, another field is called a text-dependent field. So it's similar to the drop-down, but what instead of having a drop-down list, you will have a block of text that is dependent upon what you pick. So first of all, I'm going to create the parent field. So I'm going to call this one, maybe this could possibly be for different types of policies or something like that. So I'm going to type policy options. And I'm going to make it a drop down. So to keep it simple, I'm going to do option A, option B, option C. So those are my three choices. Then I'm going to create field called options detail. And this one is going to be a text dependent. And notice we have a multi-line and a single line. Probably most of the time you'd want to pick the multi-line one just because you can type multiple lines of text. The single line will be like a text field where you can type a lot of text, but it's all in one single line and you got to scroll across to see it. So I would recommend picking the multi-line. Again, it's looking for another drop-down type field for the parent, and it's finding this one. But look, it's found market segment, market subgroup, and now policy options. So that parent field is always looking for existing drop-down type fields. So option A, I'm going to type this as the detail. Okay, and I'm going to copy this. Down here, you can control how many lines it is. So if you need a lot of text, you can expand this for the box to be 3 lines before it will scroll in the record, or 4 or 5. Okay, now I need to click on option B and then change this. And then I need to click on option C, change that, and then save it. Okay. Another type of field that we have that can be very useful to people. Sometimes people want to connect something like a parent company to another company. So you might have an account in there and then it actually belongs or is underneath a parent account. And that one always becomes a bit sticky because do you make it a text field? Do you or can you make it a drop-down list, which you would have to continually edit to update it? And again, the parent companies may be so many that you can't put it in a drop-down list because it's just not feasible. So the type of field that we have is called a lookup type field. And when you add a lookup type field, and this could be anything, you know, it doesn't have to be parent company, it can be a whole bunch of different things. So I'm sure all of you can think of items or ways that you could use this. It could be a person too, because when you make this a lookup, you can connect it to accounts, contacts, or users. So if you connect it to accounts, when you go to that field, it's going to show you a list of all the accounts that are currently in the database. And then you search for and find the one that would be the parent company account to associate with the record that you're in. if you want to associate it to people, you could do a lookup where you could, maybe you're putting together the different people that are working on an opportunity with you. There could be an engineer, there could be an architect, there could be an architect firm. So you might have a lookup for accounts to find the architectural firm. So you have one field for the architect firm. Then you have a second field that's a lookup that looks up the actual architect person that you're working with. So a lot of creative ways to do this where you can create multiple lookup fields to pull different types of people or accounts into a record. And then if you wanted to connect another user to a record, you can use users. So we'll use accounts here, okay? So that is there. And then brand new field that we have is a multi-value lookup. So I'm going to say, I'm going to call this, maybe I'll just call it like project team or sales team. This could go in your opportunity record. I'll just call it sales team. And this one is a multi-value lookup. This is brand new, just like 2 weeks old, not even 2 weeks old. This one lets you look up more than one account or more than one contact. You can associate leads, any other module records to wherever you put this in the database. This is really cool. So one of the things that comes up a lot of times with people is they might have an account record, and we have the owner field in Claritysoft. So you can only have one owner. All right. But they say we have more than one person that associates with that account, and we need to know who they are. So this is how you can use it, where you can say, I want to associate this with the users. Okay. But notice you can do it with anything, which is very exciting. And then you click save. Okay. So we have that one. And then we have another brand new one called relationship. This one even goes one step further than the multi-value lookup, because this allows you to relate an account to another account, or an account to a contact, or an account to an opportunity. You can create relationships within the database. And then what's cool about it is when you add the record, say in the account record, it also updates the contact or the opportunity, whichever one is related to it. So I'm going to create one here where, let's say in my database, I want to assign, I want to know who certain board members are for different companies. Again, you'll have to think of ways that fit your business. It could be related suppliers or vendors, things like that. In financial management, it could be related accountants or bankers or whatever. So you'll have to figure it out, what fits best for you. But I'm going to say in the account record, I want to know who the board members are for a particular company. And down here at the very bottom, you have this brand new relationship field. As soon as I choose that, then notice I'm doing a lookup of the account, because that's where I've started. And I can put in the field name that I want in the account record. Okay. Over here, I want to relate this to contacts. So the people that are going to become board members would need to be a contact, in the database if you need to select them. And then here, my field name is going to be board member 4, just to keep it so it makes sense. So you figure out the relationship, and you can start with a contact and then relate it to an account, or you can start with the account and relate it to the contact. And also notice that you can relate to any other module. The only thing you cannot relate to is a user, okay? But all modules you can relate together between or amongst each other. All right, so let's save that. And let's go back to UI templates. I'll go to my account UI template. And in the interest of time, I'll just go directly to the all profile. And my market subgroup is here. I'm going to put that under the market segment because those two relate to one another, work together. And then I have my policy options. So let's stick that up here. And then the options detail should be together. And then parent company, I could put here. And the sales team, I'll stick it here. And then board members. Okay. Now I haven't mentioned in the user interface template these secondary and additional tabs that are here. Let's maybe use this one. Let's do this. You have to decide, it depends on how many custom fields you have in your database, whether you use these additional tabs or not, because sometimes people forget to click and fill in the data. Or if you have a lot, it helps you organize them better. And all of these can be renamed, so I could call this, I'll just call it policy info, or maybe we'll call it contract info. How about that? This is kind of a scrambled up example. Okay, so I can rename that. Up here it says company info already. Okay, so that will do that, and then I'll just click save. And log out. I'm hoping that all of you are sitting here thinking of cool ways that you can maybe add some new things to your database and update it a little bit and make it, I don't know, more exciting to use. Is that the term? Okay, so we're going to open our record here. And actually, I'm going to do it a different way because I'm going to go to, let me go to this one. So we have our ID code. I'll just type in something. And the parent company now. So this parent company is that lookup field. You click on the little spyglass to search, and this is going to show you a list of all the accounts that you have in your database. And then you click up here because you would know who the parent company is, and you just start typing. So we'll say the big hospital system is the parent company. You just need to type, and Claritysoft will automatically search and pull up the matching records. You click on it, and it enters it in here. Now notice you can't type in here at all. So this protects you from people typing in just big hospital or whatever. So this is really good to use from the standpoint that it makes the name of the parent company consistent because it's pulling from your list of accounts. So that just means the parent company needs to be in the list of accounts. And then if you want to unlink this, you simply click the search button again and click unlink, and then it will take it away. So very, very quick and easy to use. Okay. Market segment. Now, when we pick market segment, I pick healthcare facility. The subgroup is here. Okay. If I pick restaurant, the subgroup is here, which is really nice because, again, sometimes people want to get a sub-type of category underneath a bigger category. So this drop-down dependent would allow you to do that. All right, and then the product interest, I'll just say they're interested in all these things again. The number of people served, I'll just say, okay. And where's our other new? So here's the sales team one. This is the multi-value lookup, okay? So what you do here, this is similar to this lookup field, but this allows you to attach more than one person. So you will click here, and then this is for a user. So I can start typing a username if I can remember what users I have in here. It pulls up my name and then Jeremy. So I can click on Jeremy and say he is another member of the sales team. So it shows him here. And if there's someone else, then I can type that in. And for the life of me, I can't remember the other user that I put in here. So I'll just do this one. But you can attach as many users as you want, and then you can click this to collapse it. So the show means to show the list, the hide means to hide it. And this layout here may change in the next couple of weeks. If you start using this field, you might see some changes appear because they're redoing some things. And then the relationship field here, this is for assigning board members to this hospital, okay? So it's looking up contacts. Again, search, I know there's a mic in here. Okay, so, oh, and they're both at that hospital. Well, maybe they could still be a board member. Okay. So he's a board member. Then I can click plus and I can do, I think there's a person. Here's a person who's a board member. And I can continue to add as many board members. All right. Then notice now this contract info tab shows up because I put fields on it. That was not here before. So as soon as you move any fields onto that secondary tab, it shows up. And then here is my policy. So if I choose option A, there's the text. If I choose option B, there's the text. So that could be an informational type of field for your people that, it has the policy information or something for what they pick. And then the contract date, again, I'll just say it was the second. And then the contract on file, we did those before. So now if I do a save and close, and this is where this relationship one is very exciting because I have board members, okay? So it will show me the board members and where they're from in the list view. But if I go to contacts and I open Eric's record, oh, folks, Sue has done it again. Hold on. Somebody out there was shouting, UI template, UI template. And I didn't hear you. These are things you'll do. See, it's good when the trainer makes a mistake because then you learn the kinds of mistakes that you can make and fix them. So I log out. Okay, so now when I go to contacts and I open Eric's record, he is a board member for Lake Hospital. So when I set up the relationship or the fill in the field in the account record, it automatically fills in the field in the related module. And if I had assigned Eric to Lake Hospital here, then it would put it with it back there. So if I do this, I have this person from Happy Valley Schools. So let's say he is a board member for, now I'm looking up an account. So he's related now to Lake Hospital as a board member. Do a save and close, return back to accounts, and then I open this, and here are board members down here. He's now a board member for Lake Hospital. That is so exciting to me, and the reason it is exciting is you can search on this, you can report on it, which we've never been able to do before with relationships. We've had relationships in Claritysoft from the beginning, but they've not ever been truly useful because they weren't searchable. So for example, if I want to find out who all the board members are for Lake Hospital, I can go to advanced search. You have to use the standard filter. And then I can go to board member 4, contains Lake, search. And there are my 3 people that are board members for Lake Hospital. And I can prove it to you right there. That is just very exciting, very exciting. So hopefully this will give you some really good ideas to think about to improve your database. Because the main thing with customizing your database is to make it really efficient for your users. And then you want to think about the kinds of reports that you want to get out too, because a lot of times the custom fields you put in are determined by the ways you want to search and the ways that you want to report, okay? Now, just as a kind of quick review, because I'm going to throw this in here, when you do an advanced search, up here, it gives you advanced search view, and if I wanted to save this list, I can save the view and call it, well, let's call it Lake board members, okay? So that is now saved as a filter. I can go back to all my contacts, and then I can say, well, I need to send an email to all the board members for Lake Hospital. Boom, Lake Hospital board members, click here, go to list actions, email contacts. It opens an email, type the email, send. Boom, done. So that's exciting to be able to do and search on those kinds of setups for the relationships. And so when you get done, you can go in and start exploring. Now, don't mess up your database too much, but go in and start exploring. And the only other one I wanted to show you, just so you know, in case you don't know this, is we have a calculated field. And in opportunities, the question that I get a lot of times is, in an opportunity, you have a sales stage that has a % probability associated with it. And then you have an amount. And people are always asking me, can you get a weighted amount? Meaning, can we take the amount and multiply it times the % probability and get what that total would be? Yes, you can. So let's do that very quickly, and then I will let you go. So I'm going to go to settings, and this time under customization, I'm going to go to opportunities because I'm adding that custom field in opportunities. So I'm going to add, and I'm going to call it we won't worry about the spelling right now. And down here, you'll see calculated. The return type, you're going to pick that you want it to return as a number. And then you choose whether you want whole numbers or not. And then down here, you're going to create your formula. And so it's saying weighted amount equals, and then you're going to create the formula that will calculate it. And you have your different operators. You have all kinds of Excel functions here. So you can create some really complex formulas down here that will calculate all kinds of different things. So you can calculate dates, things like that. You can, I don't know, you can do if statements, all of that. So it's really kind of up to you. So, and then you click on the insert fields and you find the field. So I want to take the probability times the amount and divide it by 100. So I come down here and I find probability. And then I can click on the operator. And then I go to the amount field. And then I'm going to divide it. I can type this too. Now, sometimes, and I think I'll have to do this, but you come down here and you click save, and it might give you an error message that you're missing parentheses or brackets, and sometimes you have to go back up in the formula and fix it. It's like Excel, but not 100%, so sometimes it takes a little bit to figure it out. So now I need to go to my UI template and add this to my opportunity UI template. We'll do the all template again. And there's my weighted amount, which I'll put here and save. Then we'll go to our opportunity record. And when we open it, the calculation should be there. So you can see the field is locked. You can't type in it because it is a calculated field. And it does calculate it when you open the record. So it's taking the 30% times the 10,000. So if I change this to the next level, which is 50, now notice that hasn't changed over there. What you have to do is you have to come down and click the save button. And as soon as you save it, it will force a recalculation. And then that will update the calculation. The same thing might happen if maybe this increases to 15,000 as an amount. Again, it's not going to calculate it until you click save. So just be aware of that, because sometimes people don't realize that and they say, well, my calculated field isn't working, but it is. Okay, so that's another exciting one, that you can add multiple calculated fields. Now, the one thing is you cannot base a calculated field on another calculated field. So sometimes that gets a little bit tricky, figuring out how to do kind of cascading calculations. But go in, try it. You know, if you're really good at Excel formulas, then you can get some pretty complex formulas in there for figuring out, you know, if I put this in as a beginning date and the renewal date is a year from now, you can have it automatically calculate the renewal date for you. Things like that. So hopefully I have given you some ideas, and you're all kind of itching to go back and try some things in your database and really look at it, and you know, come up with some new ways to put some new kinds of fields in there. Try that relationship field, try that multi-value lookup. They're both really powerful in my mind, and they're brand new, so I wanted to show them to you today. You guys signed up for the right class. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for attending today. And if you need any help with anything, you can call our support team at 888-838-7487 extension 2, or email them at support@claritysoft.com. New ideas, critiques, whatever, please email to info@claritysoft.com. With that, I will let you go. Have a wonderful afternoon. Oh, someone is asking, can we change the base name like phone number? No. Any of the Claritysoft built-in fields, the names cannot be changed. So you just have to live with those. But your custom fields, you can name them anything you want. You just have to be careful. You can't put slashes in the names and things like that. It'll yell at you for that. But yeah, base fields that are part of Claritysoft, no. Okay, so, all right. Oh, you want to change them to French? I don't know. You might be able to run that in French. I don't know. That you'd have to check on. Okay. All right, everybody have a great afternoon, and we'll talk to you later.